sure this is on.
Good morning. This is Blended Families Ministry, Lesson 7. We're coming from the Dream City Church, Glendale location. And Larry is going to be teaching the first lesson on step parenting skills. Here's Larry.
Good morning, everybody. This is the first of 3 lessons where we'll be dealing with parenting, step parenting, actually. This is blended families, after all. So, we're going to focus on this. In this lesson, we'll be focusing mostly on the blessings of parenthood in general, and being a step parent in particular. So, I have seen numerous occasions, especially on Facebook, where people will comment that blended families aren't biblical. And that kind of annoys me. I mean, that's our ministry, right? Blended families. So we like to point out a few famous step parents. Probably one of the most famous would be Joseph, the stepfather to Jesus. Jesus was not his biological son, but he raised him as if he were. And then we see Mordecai, who became a stepfather, even though he was actually an uncle. He raised Esther after her parents died. And another famous one would be Pharaoh's daughter. She actually raised Moses as her own. We see Exodus 2 verse 10 in the New King James. It just says, and the child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. So she called his name Moses, saying, because I drew him out of the water. Now, his actual mother, because there was a decree to kill all the firstborn males of the Hebrews, Moses' birth mother, kind of like to say, sent him down the river. She put him in a basket and set him in the river and let him float down, and it was, just God's will that somebody would find him, and it was one of Pharaoh's daughter's maidens out there. I don't know if they were bathing or whatever, but one of them heard him making some noises in his little basket and went and found him and brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and she just took him in as her own and raised him up. So we have some rather famous stepfathers, even a stepmother to look at. And there are others, but those are 3 of the bigger ones. Okay, now for purposes of the class, I like to kind of differentiate between the words mother and father and mom and dad. So just for the purposes of the class, I will normally be referring to mother/father as the biological parents, and mom and dad as the person that does the raising. So it could be the bio parent, it could be the step parent, but it's the one that's doing the work, or at least the big share of it. Right? Okay, now, as much as children are a gift from God, it is vital to remember that so is your spouse. Your spouse will most likely be around a lot longer than your kids.
Right.
It's generally how it works. And as we discussed in the very first lesson, what is a godly marriage? The marriage relationship has to have a higher priority than the parent-child relationship, especially in a blended family. Your job as parents is to demonstrate to your children how to be godly spouses and parents. That's your job, to show the kids how to do marriage in a godly way and to show them how to parent. I mean, you're going to create in them and we talked about couple of lessons ago, 3 or 4, about whose normal is normal. You want them to have a godly normal, right? So they don't have to relearn everything later in life. Okay, so even if it's a yours, mine, and ours situation, there really needs to be one set of rules for all the kids. Carol experienced what happens when you have
3 sets of
rules for mine, rules for yours,
rules for ours.
and eventually there was an ours, a whole nother set of rules.
Oh, yeah.
It really creates a lot of havoc. There's jealousy that gets involved. One set of kids, well, that's not fair.
The
It's like,
Christmas presents were always more for his kids.
yeah,
Very
especially
evident. Yeah.
like around the holidays,
Yeah.
you would find,
And
like
birthdays, it was evident.
the bio parent, the mother, the father would treat their kids a little better, or maybe a lot better than the other kids, right? So that just creates a lot of disharmony in the house.
Well, again, it brings back to if it was a godly house, because it was not.
Right,
It would never have been that way.
right.
It's what does God say about this, and it's one set of rules for everybody.
Yeah. And
Age appropriate, but still.
sure, but it's God's rules.
Right.
That's what we're looking for,
Right.
right? We talked about the normals in the other class, and you have a normal, which is everything you've learned over your lifetime. The other party has one, and all their history is totally different, and that doesn't make either one of them right or wrong. The whole point, though, when you become a blended family and you're creating a new family, it's a new marriage, new relationships for everybody. It's very important to realize that we're going to operate under God's rules, and whatever our normals were in the past, we need to try to get them to be more Christ-like normals. Okay. So needs to be one set of rules for all. It's our house, our rules, because a lot of times your kids aren't at your house, and hopefully they listen to you and you've taught them well so that they still behave appropriately even at the other house. But as we know, many of the other houses have no rules
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
Right? So your house is so strict and so unfair and things like that. So, many couples have come to us with those issues where, they try to instill discipline in their house during the week, and then on the weekend the kid goes to the other house and there's no rules at all. And then they go nuts, and then they come back and they got to relearn everything for the first day or two. So and then it repeats itself the next week. So it's round and round about that. Again, with shared custody, it needs to be our house, our rules. You and your spouse have to communicate and agree on parenting issues so that you can have the power and authority to lead your children, as it says in Proverbs, in the way they should go.
Right.
It is in Proverbs, I forget which chapter it is, but train them up in the way they should go, and when they are old, they shall not depart from it. Which, a couple of years ago, I realized it sort of implies that when they're young, they will depart.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they make it to old so that they don't depart from it.
Come back. Yeah.
Okay, generally, children under 12 blend easier than kids 12 and over. And, there's obviously lots of exceptions to that. The younger the children, the more they want to be part of something. And after they become like teenagers, they really don't want to be part of anything that's yours.
Yep.
They want to be themselves. They want to be with their friends.
Okay.
They don't like you anymore. They hate you because you make them do things they don't want to do.
And they think we don't know anything.
Oh, of course, they know everything.
Yes.
So that's when they really should get their own place, when they know everything, right?
Pay for their own cell phone
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they know everything, so let them take care of it. But no, really, you get into that 10 to 12, then it's really kind of a crapshoot what you're going to get. Kids are all different, but once they really, especially when they become teenagers, it really is tough. When you're just starting a blended family and you got teenagers, especially the younger ones, 16, 17, 18, they're already out in their mind. And they really don't want to cooperate usually. Occasionally they do, but mostly they're just fighting you on everything.
Counting the
'Cause
days when they turn 18 and they can do their own
Yeah.
thing.
It's like it's their job to mess you up. And most of them take that seriously. Right? It's their job to test you as parents, and they will frequently do things to test the boundaries that you've given them just to see what they can get away with.
Yep.
And they will test your will to enforce the boundaries.
Right.
They keep stepping over the boundary lines to see when their foot gets smacked.
Yeah. They dare you.
Yeah, they really do. They dare you to do something. Yeah, it's really kind of in your face. Older children tend to rebel more, but we'll deal with that next week when we talk more about the dark side of step parenting. This is more about the blessings. We're not going to get all into all the negative, the vindictive exes and parental alienation and all that kind of stuff. That's next week.
Keep it light.
And even at that, when we're talking about the dark side, we're going to talk mostly about how to overcome
That's right.
the dark side.
There is a
We're
way.
not going to spend a lot of time being all negative about it.
Right. God's way.
But how do you deal with the negative?
Right.
Right? So we're still trying to put a positive spin on it. Okay. Since this lesson is focusing on the blessings first, we're going to take a look at a whole bunch of scriptures here. Now we have kind of like three categories here. We have blessings, and then we kind of have the responsibilities, a lot of things about teaching your children, and then at the end we'll be talking about the legacy, good and bad. If you do what you're supposed to do, you end up with a good legacy. But if you're a lazy, irresponsible parent, there are consequences, and we'll get into some of that. So one of these will let me know what the actual scripture is for the train them up. So we have one in Psalms, but a lot of these are going to be in Proverbs because that's where a lot of the
teaching.
The wisdom is, especially about raising up children and parenting and all that kind of stuff. So Psalms 127:3, children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. So that tells us that children are a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad when you see, people that would normally be grandparents are all alone. Mm-hmm. They never had any kids. They don't have any grandkids, or through whatever accidents or whatever, there aren't any left. But when you're old and there's nobody around to kind of help take care of you, that's unfortunate. Mm-hmm. Part of the generations having the children and then grandchildren is there's people around to kind of keep an eye on you, help take care of you. And back in these days when all this was being written, that was just normal. People, several generations of a family lived together. And that's what they did.
And some cultures still do that today, Larry.
Right.
The whole families live together.
Yeah.
But this, in itself, a lot of times the new spouse will come in and say, well, I can get along with her son, but I can't stand the daughter. And you cannot pick and choose, because that again is, every child is a gift from God.
Mm-hmm.
If you love your spouse, you love their children as well, because they are part of the spouse.
Right.
That will never change. There'll always be a parent. So you taking a stand like that is not helpful for the marriage, for the relationship, but it's not teaching the child the right thing either. And a lot of times we've seen the ones that the opposite spouse will point out, I don't want anything to do with that one. Later on, that's the one person that is right there for that other spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe one day you had a great day that you really paid attention to that one child, that normally you were a pain in their butt. But they remember that one day that you were extra kind to them, and they will be around to help you. So, we really need to reinforce the Bible again, that every child is a gift from God.
Right. And while we're on that point, I think that would be a good time to kind of go back to what we have on the pyramid here about the marriage and then the parent-child. The parent-child relationship, we're supposed to be stewards, right? The one thing that came up more often than anything in those years of doing a lot of counseling was the single parent who is now married felt like their children were their property.
Right.
But, in this class, we want people to realize that the children belong to God.
Right.
They don't belong to you.
Right.
They've been given to you as a gift, but you're a steward, and that at some point God wants them back, right? God wants godly offspring. He wants them to come to Him through Christ and be one of His kids. But they have to make that choice at some point. But that was one of the things that was the most often issue reported in the couples that we counseled, was the children were too high, the spouse wasn't high enough, the children knew where they were above the spouse,
Right.
and so they didn't respect the new spouse. Let's just say, the mom that had the kids, because the mom usually gets the kids, but just for this example, the mom that had the kids puts the kids above anything.
Yeah, so the spouse felt
Unnecessary.
right.
But
Didn't feel
disrespected.
they were as high as they should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
And-
what causes conflict
Right.
in blending the whole family.
And like we teach in the beginning, the whole point here is to get the different relationships in the right priority,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So that the household is a godly household. And if God has to be first, the marriage has to be second, then the kids are in there. And then everybody else. In-laws, outlaws, co-workers, all that stuff. But the attitude needs to be that all these kids
Are ours.
are God's kids.
And they're our kids, not yours or mine.
And they're ours,
Right.
not yours,
One
mine.
household. Right.
They're all ours, but we're not owners, we're stewards. And at some point, we have to give them back. And that's the hard part of being a parent, is giving them back, taking your hands off.
Adulthood. Yeah.
Adulthood,
Yeah.
letting the kids fall on their face if they choose to. It's probably one of the toughest parenting things there is to let your kid fall on their face and deal with the consequences. But when we do it a godly way, that's what we're supposed to do. We don't keep catching them as they're falling. We let them fall, feel the pain, deal with pain, so that they learn a lesson.
Right.
They understand, oh, if I do this, this happens. that hurts. I don't want to do that again. But if they never feel the pain, then there's no reason not to do it and keep doing it. So we look at the next proverb here, Proverbs 23:24. The father of the righteous shall greatly rejoice, and he that begetteth a wise child shall have joy of him. So a father who is doing according to the Word of God raises up a wise child, and a parent that has a wise child is very proud of that child. The child is intelligent, he's smart, does good works. He's not out causing trouble. He's not out running around all night, things like that. And a father that raises a godly child is proud of that child. In most cases, anyway. We have some, generally speaking, a father who is not a righteous father generally doesn't raise righteous children. So he's not going to be the kind of father that greatly rejoices in whatever the kid is doing. But our job is to raise up a wise child, which then becomes a wise adult. And our job as parents is to raise adults, self-sufficient adults. Back in these days, they didn't have such a thing as a teenager. Generally, the bar mitzvahs, the bat mitzvahs were at age 12 or so.
12, yeah.
And after that, you were considered an adult. You made your own choices for a lot of things, and you were held accountable to what you did. Proverbs 20:11. Even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right. I can relate to that one. I grew up kind of out in the country, back in Ohio. Back then, people didn't have fences. You could walk across people's yards and stuff, but everybody knew whose kid you were.
Right. And you were in the wrong yard, Larry.
Well, they knew who was good and who wasn't so much. The whole neighborhood knew, right? So the neighbors sort of held the parents accountable,
Yeah.
who then were kind of forced to keep the kids accountable. Because that was, of course, when I was growing up, Christian values and principles were more normal. That was just kind of the assumption that that's the way everybody was supposed to behave, even though a lot of people didn't, but still, everybody knew whose kid was whose. They knew who they belonged to based on what they were doing in the neighborhood. Drag racing down the street, or those kind of things. Parties. Proverbs 17:6. Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. So grandchildren are the crown of old men. Most grandpas love to show pictures of their grandkids, right? But the neat thing about grandkids is you get to spoil them and then you give them back to their parents. We like to say paybacks, right?
Well, yeah, that's what I tell my kids when our daughters would call and they say, you won't believe what so-and-so did today. They did this and they did that. And I listen to all that one of them will be saying, and then I just say, paybacks. Mom, how can you say that? I never did that. Really?
Oh, yeah.
You don't remember. But yeah, I get to say paybacks. That's
But what this is saying is, for the grandfather, grandkids are a huge blessing, right? The crown, pride and joy is the grandkids, right? Then the next part of it is the glory of children are their fathers.
it's true. Different.
Now, cultures, it's such so divided right now. You see how many broken homes there are. Fathers have really been taken out of the family. So many families have no father, right? So the glory of children are their fathers. If there is no father, what do the kids look up to?
Yeah.
Right? So, and if the father's sort of around, but he's kind of a drunk or he runs around all the time, that is like a curse on the child. The child has to live with what the father does. The name that the father has is what the kid has to live with. At least up to a point. You know, when the child is old enough to move on and not be out on his own, he can choose to do different things, but only when he's looking at God's word to be able to do that. But we see so many homes that are broken. That's why there's so many divorces, right?
Yes.
Satan has taken out
The
father from like back in the especially starting about in the 70s or so,
60s too.
maybe even a little in the 60s. You know, the TV shows in the 60s were Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best. You know, the father was honored.
And the Waltons, good
Waltons,
family
yeah.
values. They don't have
Good.
that anymore.
Christian principles, Christian values. I mean, they weren't, you know, maybe in the Waltons they'd show them actually praying at the table or something. But in the other ones, at least, the father was honored. You know, he was working, he was a provider, everybody loved him, but he was the head. And starting, like, by the time I got out of high school in the 70s, there was, you know, can't think of the name of the show. Well, there's Married with Children, Archie Bunker, you know,
Yeah.
who the father, now
Meathead
even,
is what they called it.
Meathead, but with Archie, he was the head of the household, but he was a jerk.
Yeah, his wife,
Yeah,
so disrespectful.
he was very disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know, Edith was
Yeah.
a real doofus. Dingbat, yeah, that's what he called her all the time. And then the son-in-law was the meathead.
Yeah.
And so he was a joke. But what I saw growing up was, you know, even in my own home, my dad was the guy. He was the one who was the main provider. He was the one who delivered any punishment using the board of education in our house.
Yeah.
The one that had holes in it. But, you know, I was reasonably proud of my dad. You know, he had a decent job. People liked him. He was kind of funny sometimes.
He was.
You know, he did the sports stuff, showed me how to play baseball, basketball, hunt, fish, you know, all that dad stuff.
Yeah, and
Right.
guys don't take that time today. They don't have that time, a lot of them, because they're working 2 and 3 jobs, so the
yeah.
women can be at home. But it's a different world out there, Larry.
It sure is.
And a lot of these guys don't know the values that God really has or the blessings they'll receive as parents because they don't know this teaching. That's why this teaching is so important to get out. It's not that hard to do, but they don't know the
Yeah.
steps they're supposed to do.
Well, they have no example.
Right.
There's 2 or 3 generations now that have no decent example of a dad.
Yeah, they're just fending for themselves.
Yeah.
To
I mean, they're out
figure
running
it out.
around on the streets. And then they get in gangs because they're looking for family,
Right.
right? They don't have a family, so they end up in gangs.
For structure, that's what he did.
Structure. Yeah, that's really what they're looking for. And that's normally what you have at home
Correct.
is structure, right? And if there is no structure, yeah, they go looking for it.
And they belong. They
Something
have
to
a
belong
feeling
to.
of belonging when they're in a gang.
Yeah, that's their family.
And that mic
Right.
over there to them, please.
One thing that
I can hear him. I can hear
Well,
him.
all right.
one thing that really came home to me, I'm sure with you too, because you took the same course, Real Men with Edwin Cole, is the issue of how many men really, because of their relationship with their dad was so poor, or they didn't have one, that it really just crippled them almost for life. You know,
Right.
they were not until they got to the point where they accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. That changed morale. Up until that point, though, they
Angry.
never could be the man that their wives wanted them to be, because here again they didn't have anyone
Yeah.
to
They had
show
no
them.
idea how to.
No, there was no floor plan for them to
Right.
follow.
No example.
Right.
Nothing to follow.
And that's more true in blended families, because
Yes.
the boys are struggling. You know, who's this man that's now here in my house and telling me what to do? You know, I didn't trust my dad, and then now this man comes in, he's telling me this, he's telling me that. Like when you came into our house, Larry, you just said, let me find out what they like to do. And to my son, what are you interested in? Instead of you saying, okay, I want to go fishing, so you're going to learn how to fish today. You didn't do that. You asked my son, who was 14, what do you like to do? And then you and him went and played guitars, or went and played basketball and stuff like that. Men don't take the time to do that, not your average man. Hopefully, this teaching will teach the men that are new stepdads, new step grandparents. This is how you relate to the kids, because in the past they've not had a good relationship or anybody they can trust. And they want that, they crave that, they need that, like we all do. And so it's really important. It's like, and I can't say any names, the gentleman just spoke a while ago. They don't know what it's like. It's been
Yeah.
broken homes, one after another.
Yeah. And one of the other things they taught in that curriculum was the fact that so many of these guys, especially that come from a broken home without a dad, end up in prison.
Right.
Right,
I don't know, 70-80%.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some
Yeah.
big number.
right.
It's high.
It's very high. So, you know, it is a blessing that God wants us to have, to be good parents, good grandparents, provide the structure, provide the love, no matter whose kid it is.
That's right.
You know, because it's his kid.
That's right.
Right.
They're all God's children, and they're all gifts. Every one of them.
Right. So that page was all about the blessing of having kids, right? So, or being a parent. And the takeaway from that one was just the kids are God's kids, and you're the stewards. You don't own them; they're not your property. This is more about the training, teaching, correction, discipline, and punishment. I think this is lesson 7. I believe it's lesson 9. We talk a little bit more about those different steps as steps of teaching. But anyway, this is, you know, setting boundaries, reinforcing the boundaries, breaking bad behavior, bad habits, and creating new ones, and then enforcing the penalties for bad behavior.
Right.
It's kind of those steps. Oh yeah, here it is. 22:6 Proverbs. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And you know, like I said, I never used to think about the old part, but I think they put that, you know, they put it in there for a reason. Most of us depart. You know, we go to church as kids if we're lucky, but you know, by the time we kind of get out on our own, we kind of turn away from all that. And at some point, we come to the end of the rope, and something happens, and it's like we have nowhere else to go but God, right? Because at least we got it in us early. It stays in there. We can hide it, we can put it down, but it's still there. So when he's old, he will not depart from it. So we have hope that our kids will at some point.
I'm hoping.
Yeah. So we still have hope. 22:15, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. That is really tough today. Kids will call CPS on you,
Oh, no.
and you'll be the one in trouble, right? They'll say something to a teacher, the teacher calls CPS,
Well, the kid
CPS.
itself will call CPS.
Well, sometimes,
We've
yeah.
counseled couples
But-
where that's happened.
We hear a lot of stories about the teachers getting involved. The kid will say, or the teacher will see something like maybe a bruise or something on the kid, and without even talking to the kid, will just call CPS.
Right.
You know,
That is so wrong.
I know,
And,
it is.
and the thing here is, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. They're born that way. But you're supposed to beat it out of them.
Don't spare the rod.
I mean, that's what it says, right?
Yeah.
The rod of correction, right? Like I said a minute ago, in my house we had the board of education.
So do we.
My mom was a teacher. So we had the board of education, had my name on it, had holes in it, so there was less error resistance, you know.
Gotta get
Things
that
like
speed
that.
behind it.
But it's, see, so many parents think kids are innocent. They learn bad behavior. It's in there to start with.
Yeah.
You don't have to teach them to lie. You don't have to teach them to do bad things. It's in there.
We just-
And our job is to get it out of them somehow without killing them.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of that, the next one, 23:13, withhold not correction from the child, for if you beat him with the rod, he shall not die. There you go. But again, in today's culture, it's really tough to be able to do that
Yes.
because of the way the legal system is nowadays. You know?
Or some people just don't know how to have self-control.
Oh yeah,
You know, they're just
yeah.
beating
Yeah.
the kid senseless.
Yeah, and
Larry,
I was just gonna say, my father we had a willow tree in the backyard.
Oh God, I had that too.
And there's nothing that stings worse than a green switch from a willow tree. I
Start-
made the mistake once of joking about because my full skirt, I didn't feel it.
right?
He didn't care how old I was, my skirt got pulled up and I felt it.
Did you have to go get the switch yourself?
Oh, yes.
That's the
And
Yeah.
we got one in that wasn't green and
pick it out.
enough switch to it. We had to go back and
Get
get
a better
another
one. Yeah. Well, like I said, we had to paddle. You know.
Well, I know one time when we were taking care of the grandkids, this is our daughter that they lived in Pennsylvania, so they didn't get to see us, the grandkids, all the time. Every year or every other year, I guess we would go up there for around the holidays, but this time we were up there in the summer because our daughter and her husband wanted to go on vacation. And so we went up there and there were two grandsons, and the young one was, I think he was about 5 or 6, yeah. And we told them, if you be good, we're gonna we'll go get pizza and we'll go to a movie. Well, the young one was acting up like crazy, yelling, screaming, throwing things and everything. So I said, okay, in the corner. So he goes over in the corner and he's got cowboy boots on and they live in half of an old farmhouse up there.
With wood floors.
Yeah, wood floors, and he's stomping his boots like crazy. And I said, okay, first off, turn around and face the corner. Not just look at me, face the corner. I thought that would stop the boots.
No.
It did not. He kept going faster and then louder and louder. And Larry's in the other room with the older grandson on the computer. And he doesn't hear anything until the younger one really gets stomping on the floor. And Larry comes in the kitchen, what's going on? And I said, he's acting up. So I sent him to the corner. And so Larry went over there and Larry took the boots off. And the kid's still stomping, and then he realized it hurt. just stomping that floor with no boots on. I would never have thought of it, but it was so cool. And he was like, oh my, this really hurt me. So then he calms down, of course. He didn't have a choice because it was hurting his feet. And so then he kind of goes to the side and he says, okay, Grandma, I'm good now. Can we go and have pizza and to the movies? I said, no, you can't. Why? I'm good now. I said, that's it. You're good now. We'll see how you are tomorrow. You didn't do what I asked you to do today, so we are not going to do that. We'll try again tomorrow. And he remembered that, but I mean, how he even thought how it was going to echo like that was crazy, and how you thought to take the boots off was
that was an easy one for me.
I didn't even think anything.
But then I guess it was probably like the next time we went,
Oh yeah.
they like after a day or two, it's like, oh yeah, you're the grandparents that make us mind.
Yeah, that's exactly what they said.
Took a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you make us do things.
Yeah, because their other grandparents, they didn't let them do, they let them do whatever they want.
So anyway, so what we've seen here so far is we have to train the children. Foolishness is built in from day one. And it's our job to try to get rid of that somehow. And culture is preventing us from doing a lot of what we are told to do in the Word. If you beat the kid with the rod, he shall not die, right? But
He thinks so.
he needs to think so.
Yeah.
He's not. Hopefully you don't hit him that hard. Now, when I would experience the Board of Education, my parents never used it because they were angry.
Yeah, they never executed the punishment in anger, which
was
is
always-
very important.
There was always a couple hour delay in sentencing to execution.
Like, you wait till your dad gets home.
And then my dad would always lie to me and say, now this is going to hurt me more than it is you.
Right.
And then whack, whack, maybe or another whack. But almost always my mom and dad were right there together. They were together
Right, and not mad.
and not mad. They weren't angry. They were disappointed because I did something I wasn't supposed to do.
And she pointed that out to you
And-
each time.
They would, now remember the rule was, so they would remind me what the rule was, and you broke it, so here's the consequence. We still love you, but you screwed up.
Right.
And, Dad would do the execution of the penalty, but my mom would usually be there to, pick me up, hug me, and reiterate, how much they love me. Please don't do this again, or else, those kind of things. But it's so important, and Kenyatta was kind of getting there, that too many parents execute the punishment without ever really establishing any
Right.
boundaries.
Right, the kid doesn't know
Right?
why he's getting hit.
And we have a staircase thing, and teaching is the first step. That's setting the boundaries, right? The correction is reinforcing the boundaries.
Right.
You teach, you set them loose, catch them when they go across the boundary, and you don't maybe whack them the first time, but you warn them. Maybe 2 warnings, and then the third time, whack. Right?
Yeah.
3 strikes, you're out.
Somewhere in Proverbs, I think it says that the discipline is actually a form of love.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, God chastens those that He loves.
Yeah.
Right. So, if you're not being chastened by God, you need to check and make sure which family you're in.
Right.
So anyway, train up the kid. He's going to do stupid stuff, and it's our job to train them in the way they should go. Proverbs 4:1, hear ye children the instruction of the father, and attend to no understanding. So a father's job is to explain why the boundaries are what they are. Because if it's just because I said so,
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
Now, but if you explain and give the kid understanding of why the boundary is what it is, at least they'll have a better judgment in, do I do this or not? Oh, well, I understand if I do this, then this will happen. It's not, well, if I do this, my dad will get mad and he'll hit me. That, that's not good. And part of the teaching is explaining why the boundaries are what they are. I mean, that's why we have God's Word. It sets the boundaries for us. And it's like the boundaries, anything inside the box is okay. It's when you get outside the boundaries that you have issues. And there will be penalties and consequences for getting outside the boundaries. The Word of God is all about the freedom that's inside the box. Proverbs 5:7, similar. Hear me now, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. So the wise child listens to the father. The father's supposed to be prophet, priest, and king. He's supposed to be setting the government, right, in the household and enforcing it. At least in my house, my parents were most definitely in agreement on boundaries. There was never a way I was going to get out of anything. Whatever it was, if mom caught me doing something, wait till your dad gets home. And then, oh crap, I'd have to sit in my room looking out the window waiting for the car to be coming down the road. Oh no, here it comes. It was the waiting.
We get it twice
Well, yeah,
or 3 times. The neighbor gets you.
right?
You know.
And they would do some stuff.
Yep. And then your mom was home.
And they
She
would.
gets you.
Yeah.
And wait till your dad gets there. Now you're gonna really get it. Then you gotta walk and get your own switch.
Yeah.
And come back.
Well,
Man, that trip back was really hard.
yeah. Or that sound of a belt coming out.
Oh.
So my mom was a school teacher, so if I ever got in trouble at school, and I never did, but because of this, there was no way I was going to the principal's office. And if I did anything at school that would ever deserve any whacks, I'd get at least that many when I got home. That's just the way it was.
Yeah.
The teachers had the respect of everybody.
Different times
Now they don't.
now. Yeah, different
Yeah, the-
times now.
Parents would take the side of the teacher
Oh, yeah.
back in those days. If the teacher said, your kid screwed up, you would do something with your kid. Nowadays, the teacher says something about your kid, you chew the teacher out
Or change schools.
or go to a different school.
Yeah, go to different
It's all upside down backwards.
Yeah.
Get the
Yes.
teacher fired.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
it's crazy.
Right now, the law is, you take a child that has a discipline problem, what they do, they'll make concessions to the child that has a discipline problem, because they don't want him to feel, as being an outcast or
Right.
whatever. We don't wanna interfere with his psyche as far as how he looks at himself, so.
Yeah, we don't want him
Let
to-
him do that and not do anything to him.
Yeah, we don't
There's no
wanna-
consequences for his bad behavior.
Right.
We don't want to have bad self-esteem.
Right, so
So yeah, it's all backward, which is what Satan wants,
Right.
right? He turns everything upside down, inside out, backwards from what God wants it.
Right.
And that's why we really need to be very much aware of marriage in particular, life in general being spiritual warfare. Satan is looking for who he can kill, steal, and destroy, right? Always. So we just have to be aware of it and be have that understanding that there is resistance out there. So it's not all going to be a piece of cake. We have to do the work. 7:24 is basically the same thing as 5:7. 8:32 is very similar. Therefore, hearken unto me, children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. So those that stay inside the box, and we're always told, think outside the box,
Right.
but
Double standard.
stay inside of God's box. There's all kind of unusual things that can happen inside God's box. You know, I mean, just be careful which box you're getting outside of. But children are blessed that keep God's ways. More blessing, less negative stuff. One of our couples, he's very consistent in putting on the armor of God every day. And he always brings up the point that I have no idea of the things that didn't happen. The bad things that did not happen. Because he had his armor on. Things that could have. But they didn't. Right? And we'll never know what didn't happen.
I had that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Friday night, that happened. I was supposed to be at a Bible study Friday night, and for some reason, one of the workers that were at our house working, his wife was running late that night, and normally I'm getting hyper and I'll drop you off or do something. But that night I had a peace over me just to stay put. And so finally I got on the highway to get over there to it, and right in front of me, had I been 2 minutes before that, I would have been involved in this major crash with a motorcycle and 5 other cars. And I seen one roll over and crushed it, and it had a baby in it. It was bad, but God stopped it.
Yeah.
That's that covering.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the stuff that didn't happen.
Yeah.
It was a blessing.
Yeah, we need to kind of be aware of some of those things. Just thank God that wasn't me.
Right. Just minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, not even seconds, actually.
Oh, that's
'Cause
awesome.
I'm witnessing it.
Wow.
This last part is, well done, good and faithful servant. This is the parent's legacy. That's the one thing we really want to hear when we get to heaven is, well done, good and faithful servant.
Yes.
The one thing you don't want to hear is, depart from me, I never knew you.
Now there's no second chances.
Yeah, it's one or the other. It's and everybody kind of jokes about it, but there's those who have been very, very active in the kingdom, doing a lot of good works. There's supposed to be many mansions in heaven, but then there's that guy that slides in and smells like smoke right at the end. He still made it, but just by that much. So that last breath kind of guy. Okay, so we're talking about legacy. We've talked about the blessings, we talked about the duties of parenting, and now this is the legacy. Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I'll make thee ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of thy Lord. So we will have jobs. Some will be generals, some will be privates. It depends. Right? Still a job, right? 27, the just man walks in his integrity, his children are blessed after him. So sort of it mentioned it before, the man that is an upright citizen creates a good name for his family. That family name is a good name. And his children are blessed after him. So if he's maybe a successful businessman or a good pastor or something like that, his children will be blessed. But again, the opposite is also true.
Correct.
The guy that's the adulterer, the drunkard, the whatever, that's more of a curse. on his children.
Carries on generation.
And it's a generational thing, yeah. What, third and fourth generations, right?
Yes.
And I guess by the fifth one, people kind of forgot what happened
Why it
before.
was, yeah.
Right. But it also can change the DNA structure
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
in a human being.
True.
It's really
It
deep.
don't have to be that way though, Larry.
No, we don't.
no, it doesn't have
That
to be.
generational
No,
thing,
well-
'cause
Yeah, if people do the right kind of forgiveness of parents,
Correct.
that,
Yeah, they
Kinda-
can undo.
I never
puts it-
wanted to treat my children the way my father treated me,
Mhm.
mostly because my sister was gone and my brother had been killed by a drunk driver, and dad took everything out on me,
yeah, right.
which was a lot. And I never wanted to do my children that way.
Right. Yeah.
But my oldest son, he will still tell you, when we saw that look in mom's eye, we knew we were in trouble.
Yeah. Well, and you know, in the class on forgiveness, which is lesson 10
Mhm.
in this class,
Yeah.
we talk about the generational curses, but kind of what's happening is, like, me would be wounded by my dad or my mom, or you know, they said something, you'll never amount to anything, or you're this or you're that, you know, that kind of sticks. Well, if I never forgave them for that, now I'm married, I have kids, my kids will know, well, you never forgave your dad for whatever, or mom, and then you've hurt your kids, because we all do that, right? Then, well, because I didn't forgive mine, they're not going to forgive me. And then they're going to have kids, and their kids won't forgive them because they didn't forgive me. But the thing is, for me to be wise enough to go to the kids and say, hey, I really screwed up. You know, you, or me and your mom, we didn't do the right things. We hurt you. You know, we're sorry. You know, please forgive us. That kind of
Stop.
puts an end to the generational part of the curse, at least. Because you've just opened up, you know, allow them to work with a clean sheet of paper and not carry the grudge.
Wow, that's good.
So, okay, so the man that walks in his integrity creates a good name, creates a good legacy, you know, and the children are blessed because of what he did, the good name. A good man leaves an inheritance to his grandchildren. The wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. Still waiting for the second part of that. But, you know, we are blessed. We have, you know, grandchildren that are way more successful at stuff than we are. But I don't know how much of that is because, you know, we turned our lives around at a certain point. We weren't doing all the right stuff for a long time, but eventually we did, right? So we got the when we were old part right, right? And then we got it. But the older daughter especially, even the younger one is doing a good job with her kids.
Yeah.
But the older one had a lot of rules. You know, the kids had a lot of freedom,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they had a short leash too. So, and you know, that discipline carried on even when they were, you know, teenagers and young adults and all that kind of stuff. And now, you know,
They're 26 and 35 now.
Yeah,
They're
he'll
doing
be-
wonderful.
what day is this? 11th?
Yeah,
16th, he'll be 35.
the older one, yes,
And
he will.
he's
He's
doing exceptionally well. Proverbs 31, this is the godly mom, the godly wife. Her children rise up and call her blessed because she's godly. Her children call her blessed. Her husband does also. And he praises her. Right? That's one of the things husbands are supposed to do is praise the wife. Right? Love your wife as Christ loved the church, his bride. He died for her. Now, it's really not part of this, but a parent's legacy, you know, the wife, the mom, one of the things it talks about in Proverbs 31 is how she has like this business on the side. She's doing the home stuff, but she's a businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
She's bringing income in. You know, it's not just sitting around eating bonbons, you know, chasing the kid around, changing the diaper once in a while. She's working.
Right.
She's helping the family, right? And there's all kind of blessings for that. 10:1, the Proverbs of Solomon, a wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother. We've been there, done that, right? We have, you know, 2 daughters that are doing well, but the son, not so much. And I know how heavy that is on your heart, because you love your kid, right? But I wouldn't go so far as to say he's foolish, but he has made some bad decisions over the
Well,
years.
His is mostly unforgiveness.
Well, and that's, yeah. It's not that he
knows better.
He knows better,
He does.
but it's a forgiveness issue
Yeah.
that, well, actually, it's an unforgiveness issue that's almost 50 years old.
Well, he's over 50,
Yeah. And it happened 50 years ago, but he's still holding on to it.
but he's eating himself up inside. I
Yeah.
mean, he's not doing himself any good or anyone else. And at this time, he's cut himself off from the whole family.
Yeah.
And from God, which is the biggest mistake of all. But that's his choice. And I have to give it to God, which I have 3 or 4 years ago. Whatever God's will for him. It's hard to do as a mom, let me tell you, but I have no choice.
Now, this is the wise son makes a glad father. So when a father has done a good job training him up as well in the way he should go, the father can be proud of the kid, right? It goes both ways. The father's proud of a good son that makes good decisions, but the son is also getting blessed because his father has made a good name, right? So that it goes both ways. But again, the foolish one, the one who didn't listen, you know, the prodigal that
Right.
goes out, blows the fortune, the mother is the one that really hurts the most. The father's not so happy either, but the mom that really weighs on her heart. Again, we're talking legacy. The memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. There's a story of 2 different families. I don't remember the names, but one, there was all kind of doctors, you know, very professional people, senators, you know, different kinds, and they were more godly, right? And there's like 300 of them over several generations.
Right.
And then there's the other one. Most of them were drunkards, prostitutes, you know, ungodly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like nobody remembers them, but there were maybe 100 of them, and then they just kind of died out. But the name goes away at some point, whereas the godly, that name carries on. And then one of the last one, the wise shall inherit glory, the shame shall be the promotion of fools. So again, the name that we get, that we create for ourselves, if we're wise, if we're decent, that name will last. It'll be a good name, and you'll definitely end up in heaven, and probably with a pretty big house. Whereas the foolish, everybody knows it's a fool, and everybody kind of looks down on the fools, right? So be wise, don't be a fool. All right, so again, we were talking about being stewards of God's kids. He wants them back. Your job is to train them up in the meantime to be a good steward. God will give you tests of faith when it comes to your children. It's hard to let them go, even harder to see them struggle or even suffer. But once you've done your job, you have to trust God. They're His kids. And when we give them back to Him, we are saying, okay, you're an adult. You make your choices. You make your life. Whatever. Consequences. And as you've seen, if you've done a good job, your children will be a blessing not only to you, but to many others. And if you've been a slacker, you may well suffer even more than your children. Because you'll have to bail them out of jail or deal with accidental deaths and things like that. So that's it for today. We went a little long today, but this was a good one. So just a shout out to the Goins, Kenyatta and Roberta being here from Christian Living Radio. They were broadcasting live on Christian Living Radio. We were live on Facebook. Podcast will be out there soon. But I want to thank them for being here in person today. And if we're blessing anybody out there, you can always make a donation on the website, which is blendedfamiliesministry.org.
And hi to Sandy and Randy in Wisconsin, and Jennifer and Ray in Avondale, and there's a couple others I was going to say hi to this morning. Don't have my list in front of me, I'm sorry, but thank you everybody for listening, and be back with us next week as we do the second part of step parenting skills that we'll be teaching.
More of the dark side.
Yeah, have a blessed
How to deal with the dark side. All right, we'll see y'all later.
You guys were quiet. Any comments?
I was just listening. I think they were speaking.
Let's see, Sharon, I wanted you to be